developments has become a growing field of increasing importance. In this panel, our speakers will share examples of the use of technology that supports the development of a wide range of aspects to constitute the field of eHealth. Today, I'll chair the panel with Fargana Abdullayeva from Institute of Information Technology of ANAS. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. I welcome all of you to participating in our session. First presentation from Paola Aurucci, eHealth law specialist, University of Turin, Italy. Her presentation title is The Impact of the European Health Data Space on Biomedical Research.
Thank you. Okay, as you may see by the stickers on my computer, I am a researcher. I deal with data protection, and I work at the University of Turin. My topic of research are the legal basis to use the personal health data in scientific research. So today I'm going to, everything is okay? Okay. I'm going to talk about the European data space. That is another layer of complexity in an already very complex system that we have in Europe about the use of the secondary use of personal data. Thank you, everybody, for this great opportunity. I just want to say that the last 5 minutes of my presentation, there will be Alessandro Di Pietro from the company Aindo that I have invited to present the concept of synthetic data. Because we have personal data, pseudonymized data, anonymized data, but we also have synthetic data that could be a possibility for the development of health research. So it's important at the beginning to say what it is different from before, what is new. So the way we do research, in biomedical research, I also work in a hospital. I control all the studies that we do, all the privacy statement. And what is different from before is that now we have the spread of digital health that has changed completely the way we do research. So the focus of the researcher is not just the body itself, but is also digital data, personal data. So the fact that we use personal data, it had a layer of complexity on the way we do research, because actually there is data protection. So the first problem is technical. So we have to create an efficient system to share technology standard in order to overcome technological barriers. And also we have to have a very clear legal framework. Unfortunately, we don't have a very clear legal framework. Even with the GDPR, that maybe everybody knows, is a regulation, the GDPR. However, the GDPR leaves to the states a sort of discretionary power on the health data. This means that there is still a big fragmentation on the legal aspect of using the secondary use of personal health data in Europe. This means that all the research that involve different centers have this problem because they have different laws from different states. So, works? Okay. Okay. So we have right now I don't know. Okay. Okay. So, Okay. The European Health Data Space is just a new way to use data. We have in history many examples of data pooling. We had care data, for example, in UK. And now in Europe, we are trying to do this European Health Data Space that the aim is to allow people to take control of their own health data, but also to support the secondary use of health data. We had also this European Health Data Space will work if we have three elements: a good governance, transparency, accountability, and oversight. So these are the elements for a data pooling to work. So we have to create this strong data governance. And then we did strong data quality. And we have a problem in Europe that is not only a problem, a legal problem, legal interoperability. We also have the problem of technical interoperability. So it means that we cannot share health data between different centers without this technical interoperability. And data are just locked in silos, and they can't go abroad, they can't be used for scientific research. So we also, okay, here we can see that we have different kind of data. We have personal data, we have anonymous data, and we have pseudonymous data. So anonymous data are outside the application of the GDPR. If you anonymize the data, you don't have to respect the GDPR. At the same time, anonymizing the data is not simple. It costs a lot. It can influence the value of the data. Basically, sometimes if I say the researcher of my hospital, hey, you can anonymize the data, he says, okay, but if I anonymize the data, I can't use the data for my research. I need pseudonymized data. I need to go back to follow up to the patient. So we have this kind of scenario. We have GDPR, we have fragmentation inside Europe, we have personal data, we have anonymous data. Another option is synthetic data. So health data are considered under the GDPR sensitive personal data. They are regulated by Article 9, and it means that actually it's forbidden to use health data, health personal data, unless you have specific conditions. And one of these conditions is consent. But we know that the consent nowadays, with the spread of digitalization, with the spread of ICT, it doesn't have the value that it had before. It doesn't protect the person. So this is the reason why the approach that GDPR has is a risk-based approach. It means that it's not, the consent is just one of the legal bases to use the health personal data. But we have other bases, and one of these is Article 9, paragraph 2, letter J, that will allow you to use personal data to further use personal data for scientific research. So, okay. So we have, as I said, we have primary use of data, we have secondary use of data. The aim of the European Health Data Space is to help both, to help to control patients, their own data, but also to secondary use the health data for scientific research, not only for scientific research, but also to build a new policy, to build a new policy of use of data for public health. So we have observational study. Observational study now is very important because, as I said before, the researcher concentrates not only on the body, but also on the data of the subject. This means that we have observational study or data that has been collected for other purpose. And one of the principles of the GDPR is the specification of the purpose for the use of the data. So sharing health data is very important, and I said it before. And in the strategy of the EU, there was the construction of the European Health Data Space, and we just had the proposal on this European health data space that will allow the secondary use and the primary use of health data, and also to share the data, and also to control the data, guarantee transparency, accountability, and oversight with specific bodies that control the access of the data. So basically, people can ask the center to access to the data, and there are specific bodies that control the possibility for this body to obtain the data. The European health data space, again, this is, we can go ahead. I don't know how many time I have. 7 minutes, so I have 2 minutes, because then there is Alessandro that will show you a little bit about synthetic data. So the problem here with the primary use of health data is that basically the European health data space will improve the access and the control of natural person over the personal electronic data, and also will help to build the single market for digital health data. At the same time, it will help for the secondary use of data, that is here. So we have this system that is the MyHealth at EUC platform that is going to be used to share the data. So the first problem that is faced by the European health European health data space is interoperability, to guarantee to guarantee interoperability, and also to guarantee the transfer of your own data between different countries. At the same time, as I said, we have secondary use of health data. Will help, will support the health research, innovation, policy making, regulatory purposes, and personalized medicine purposes. And it will provide a legal basis to use the data. So we don't have to look for a consent anymore. There is the center that provides the legal basis. It also provides some exception for the transparency principle. So we don't have to contact the person that the data belong to have consent, or to let him know that we are using the data for that specific research. At the same time, we have EDPAB and EDPS that just issue an opinion on this European health data space that says basically that we have to be very careful about respecting the rights of the people and respecting the GDPR. So there is the need to this interplay between this new proposal and the GDPR, and it's not going to be simple. In my opinion, this proposal may provide another layer of complexity in a situation that is already complex. So my presentation is finished now. I ask Alessandro Di Pietro if he can introduce is online, I think.
Hello everybody, sorry. Just give me a sec, I'm gonna share my screen so I can follow a presentation, also for you.
Yes, Alessandro Di Pietro from Indo is an expert on data, and is a data scientist, and we talk about the synthesization of data, because as I said before, one option is anonymization, that it costs a lot, and at the same time it doesn't solve any ethical problems. And we have also the possibility to have synthetic data. 1 year ago, I was invited by Data Valley, a private company, to participate to this white paper on European health data sharing, and we just translated this white paper in English, and Alessandro was one of my co-authors, and I don't know if he's still online. Yes, okay.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
So thank you everybody, sorry for the bit of delay now, I was not able to share my screen, but thank you for inviting us to talk at this beautiful conference. Thank you also to Data Valley, of course, and to all the organization. We have heard Paola talk a lot about all the types of data that we have today and that we can work on today. She also mentioned synthetic data, so I would rather start by introducing a bit what synthetic data is. and why it can be a good answer to boost innovation while protecting data privacy. Synthetic data is basically artificial data, fake data, if we want to say it this way, that truly behave and maintain all the statistical characteristic of an original data set while preserving at 98% of accuracy the data privacy of its owner. So they are basically a reproduction of the original data set that maintain the utility while preserving privacy, and therefore are the optimal solution for foster innovation and develop new AI and machine learning based model which can help also, but not only, in all the data health space. But there are a lot of different synthetic data. So synthetic data, what is important to understand is that there is not only one way to produce synthetic data. Every kind of artificial generated data can be called synthetic data, and therefore why the technology that we at Indo are pursuing, we believe is the best for being applied to healthcare data. That is because the technology behind is based on what is called variational autoencoder and generative adversarial networks, which are artificial neural network frameworks that helps in understanding the statistical distribution contained in original dataset, and that can also guarantee the reproduction of an additional data set, which will be the synthetic one, that will maintain all the probability distribution of the original one, while not guaranteeing and not allowing anyone to go back to the original owner of the data. With this framework, we are able to process and synthesize all the kind of data which are important into the healthcare data space, so from electronic medical records, relational database, and of course also time series to understand patient data during the overall of their life, and also allowing in this way what Paola was saying before, the exchange of data between organizations, between silos, between companies, and allowing also the statistical analysis of those data, empowering data scientists and researchers to evolve the situation and the current status of development of, for example, diagnostic tool, predictive diagnostic tools, and also simple data analysis. We have also, sorry, I cannot go. Okay, we have also applied this, and we are applied with a lot of organization in the healthcare sector, and as was mentioned by Paola, we have also written down a white paper on eHealth data sharing, and saying how we can exploit the technology of synthetic data alongside with the other technologies that can assure the anonymization of the data from the patients, while of course providing to the patients all the benefit from the usage of those data. So I don't want to take any longer, so this is those are our contacts at Indo, so if you're interested more in synthetic data, please follow us or you can contact us. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Alessandro. It was very nice. Thank you.
No, if there are any questions?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Thank you for the very interesting presentation. In the earlier presentation today, we heard earlier around the challenge that scientists have in the assurance around the data sets that they use to predict impacts on global warming, etc. You've explained here in your methodology how you've responded to the challenges in using confidential data and GDPR legislation and the application of AI technologies to create this false data that can be used to inform outcomes for society at large. What do you have in your team to support you with marketing, communication to persuade the population at whole that the use of new technologies like AI in interpreting and amending data can give us the confidence that the outcomes and predictions you provide are accurate and fair? because as scientists, you need extra skills to help with that messaging. So what support, what systems, what people do you have in your projects and teams to help with communication and explaining that message?
Me? No, well, first of all, I work in a hospital, so I know that AI, how AI works, it brings some hypotheses that need to be tested in specific environment, a specific study. I work with clinical trials. I know what are all the differences, but I think that, as I said before, the element to create trust, to create understanding between the people are three. That is transparency, accountability, so to be held accountable for what we do, and also oversight, so control. So I think that all these aspects, for example, in a hospital where I work, are present. There is this element of oversight, of an oversight that is from the beginning, it's by design. It's like data protection by design. You know from the beginning that you have to respect data protection. You know from the beginning of your project that you have to respect ethical principles. So we try to keep this element together, to be transparent, to be accountable, and to guarantee oversight. And to do that, we have different bodies that work to allow this transparency. Actually, this is just a white paper, but we are trying to build inside these three elements, but also in university, also in hospital. It's very important that there are still ethical committees, that there are still bodies that control the access to the data. All these three elements, for me, are the basic to guarantee trust in people, especially in contexts that are so complex as AI. And in Europe, we have a problem. We have now so many regulations on everything that add a layer of complexity without making people to understand what's going on. This is my feeling. So I think that there must be less regulation and much more transparency and involvement of the public. I don't know if Alessandro wants to add something about it.
Yes, I can add something. In Indo, I forgot to mention, I am responsible for the business development of the company. Of course, the company is new, so we're scaling up and quite fast because I know it might be not normal to say, but people are starting to understand and having conscience about the fact that the personal data are their personal data, so they are getting also this understanding that they need to protect it. So also by this, we have in place different activities to share, of course, the existence of synthetic data, first of all, and one of these is participating to events like that in which we can, of course, show and present what we're doing and what synthetic data can do. But also we are in the creation of an association, a synthetic data association, which would be a Europe-based association, which have as a main scope the one of perform some, I would call it evangelization on about synthetic data, because of course the techniques and the methods that we use are a bit technical and difficult to understand, but the benefits that can come from that I believe are very well understandable from everybody. And of course, we try to participate in all the events, not only the scientific one, but also in the events such as the PET conference in Boston in May, where we have been, and we were talking about anonymization technique, because actually at the very end, anonymization, it's a side effect of the synthesization process, and these also together with more simpler marketing activities, is more advertising, are basically what we are putting a lot of effort right now.
Can I add just one thing? Or no, I just wanted to say that also, like, for
any question from audience? Yes.
Thank you very much for your talk. Can you give us some specific when you talk about data collection? What kind of data collection you mean? For example, when you get regular checkup, for example, you have one kind of data collection to make a decision, or some people have chronic diseases like diabetes type 2 or high blood pressure. This is because for every kind of activities you will need different kind of data collection and analysis. Of course, I understand about specificity of protecting the personal data, but before that, because you can have so many let's say data for just one person, and during several time course. Would you please comment what particularly you are working in the hospital, what kind of data collection you need? Thank you very much.
To control the data.
Yeah.
Okay.
For example,
yeah. Okay, first of all, we have I work in the scientific and secretary of the hospital. So basically to start a clinical trial, to start a research that use personal data, we have to check with the ethical committee is the proposal is fine. We check all the privacy information and we check if everything is correct. And in Italy, the regulation for data protection is very strict. It means that if you don't have the consent of the person, you have to go back to the authority to check if we can use the data, and the authority has to deliver an opinion about how you are going to use the data. So in Italy, it's very, very complicated. I can say it's too much complicated. We have different layers of control: unethical control, data protection control, data access board that control all these elements. The protection of personal data is guaranteed. I can say that. Okay, we don't have time. Okay, but also I want to say that association of patients are very important for the involvement of the patient and the people.
What I mean, you cannot just if you can get even access, you cannot just pull everything together. You should categorize and analyze separately. Don't you mean?
Yes, also like the quality of the data, the metadata, all these elements are considered, and we can't just pull everything over.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. Next presenter is Sergiusz Zielinski, Poznan Supercomputing and Networking Center, Poland. Her presentation is Role of NRENs in Healthcare Innovation.
Hello, can you hear me and see me well? Hello? Am I being heard?
Hello, hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, hearing. We are hearing you.
And you are also seeing me? Okay, I can see myself on the screen. Now I will try to share my slides. Okay, can you see my slides?
Yes, that's okay.
All right. So thank you very much for the invitation to speak at this excellent conference. My name is Sergiusz Zielinski. I'm with Poznań Supercomputing and Networking Center, or PSNC in short. And I will be telling you about the PSNC's vision of the role of NRENs, or National Research and Education Networks, in healthcare innovation. So we believe that NRENs are uniquely equipped to play an important role in healthcare innovation, and that's due to the e-infrastructure that they command. So for PSNC, this e-infrastructure, or research infrastructure, as it can be called, consists of three main blocks. The first one is the network infrastructure. So we are the operator of both the municipal network in Poznań and of the national fiber network, scientific fiber network called Pioneer. The Pioneer network interconnects all the municipal networks in Poland 5 high-performance computing centers, including ours, and importantly for eHealth, it also interconnects all the clinical hospitals in Poland. The next asset we command is the computing infrastructure, which is made available by the Pioneer Network for scientific research, of course. It includes the Altair supercomputer, which is the most powerful supercomputer in Poland right now, and it's ranked in the top 500 list. And finally, we have laboratories for research in the whole range of technological domains, from electronics through networking, Internet of Things, digital immersion and visualization, to telemedicine, as well as living laboratories for user inclusion into research. So this research infrastructure, coupled with the R&D expertise that we have gained through almost 30 years of operation and held by our over 400 employees, allows us to cooperate with and enable key stakeholders in healthcare innovation, such as medical universities and clinics, medical associations, commercial enterprises in medical IT, pharma, and other domains of eHealth, as well as social welfare institutions, both public and private. So there are 4 basic classes of activities that we engage in order to achieve this goal of healthcare innovation. And this is also a table of contents of sorts for the rest of my presentation. So I will be going through these classes of activities and provide examples of such activities. So when it comes to development of specialized research infrastructure, the general research infrastructure I described before, which consists of networking, computing, and laboratory facilities, we can build on that to develop more tailored infrastructures for specific health research applications. And one example of such architecture that is being developed is the Mosaic project. The goal of this project is the creation of an advanced research platform allowing to acquire, standardize, integrate, and analyze multidimensional biomedical data using artificial intelligence algorithms. This is done, or will be done, in order to gain new knowledge and tools for accessible and personalized prophylaxis, diagnostics, and therapy. And this initiative is realized in cooperation with the National Institute of Oncology and the National Institute of Cardiology in Poland. Another example of such an infrastructure, a virtual infrastructure, is the NBI-NL project. NBI stands for narrowband imaging here, and in this project, or in this platform, digital models or digital twins of the larynx are generated, analyzed and annotated based on video endoscopy data. So this is, of course, meant to help medical experts in the interpretation of this data and in further treatment and diagnosis. The next class, or the next level of our engagement is direct participation in eHealth research as technological partners to domain research institutions. Here, the first example of that is the usage of AI for the early diagnosis of glaucoma. This tool or this platform allows to diagnose this disease before any pathogenic symptoms appear. This diagnosis is based on such parameters as eyeball volume changes, high-frequency cardiovascular data, and eye biomechanics data. And this is a very high accuracy prediction that results from using this tool, and a patent application has been filed for a device that allows to diagnose glaucoma based on this machine learning technology. The next area of research concerns the links between disorders in anatomical sex development and psychophysiological parameters. So here the tools that are used for measuring those parameters, so our role, to make it more simple, is eye tracking, tools, electrodermal activity, and behavior analysis from video stream. Then we have the development of ICT-based solutions for healthcare and social care. So here we have concrete solutions for end users. The research here is concerned in identifying the needs of the users and the ways that those needs can be met using the ICT technologies that we develop within our facilities. Our first example of this is the Pelosha project. So here the goal was to create a platform for helping seniors in leading a more healthy life and for increasing their well-being, as well as making it easier for the caregivers to help them lead such a life. So the platform is based on IoT technologies, which are integrated into a comprehensive solution addressing the most common needs of the senior. And the platform was designed to be extendable and personalizable, but for now, the currently integrated technologies include the measurement of health parameters such as weight, temperature, and blood pressure, the measurement of air quality in the senior's surroundings and also outside, a virtual trainer which allows the senior to follow a training routine that is suited to their abilities and needs, and also keeps track of the scores that they achieve. It also allows for detecting nighttime activity, which sometimes can be a predictor for Alzheimer's disease, and also automated asking for help in everyday activities, such as getting up or going out for a walk. So the platform already had pilot trials in 3 countries, and this included both care institutions and private homes of the seniors, and of course also the caregivers of the seniors. The next project is a very interesting one, I think. It's called Incension, and it allows persons with PNLD or profound and multiple learning disabilities to use applications such as a communicator, a media player, and smart rooms. And this usage is based on automatic interpretation of unconventional behavioral signals, such as the sounds those persons make or specific gestures they make, because this is often the only kind of communication that is available to those persons. And those gestures and those sounds, they are usually unique for each person. So the machine learning algorithm actually has to first learn about each person separately in order to be able to interpret the signals that they are sending. The next project I would like to talk about is Safe Home. So this is a multidisciplinary project which aims to increase the safety of seniors living on their own. And it strives to utilize sensors and IoT technologies in a maximally non-intrusive way. This includes, for example, touch or weight sensors that are integrated into the floor. So the location of the senior is known without them having to see or use any additional sensors. And PSNC's engagement here is in the networking part, which is based on cloud and fog networking and computing. And also in using web-based video conferencing for emergency calls in a way that is suited for the use with elderly, with the UI and the functionality that is tailored for them. The next 2 projects concern psychology. So as we all know, the COVID pandemic resulted, among others, in a crisis in mental health. And on the other hand, therapy through video conferencing became much more common. So in order to face those challenges, we have the PSNC tool. And the tool is used for generating automated non-verbal communication feedback for psychotherapists. So this tool measures the 2 behavioral measures, the interest and attitude of the person on the other side of the teleconferencing session. And of course, this feedback is very important during a session with a psychotherapist. And on the other hand, it's much harder to observe such feedback through video conferencing than in person. So the tool enables the therapist to register the changes in those measures and also to concentrate his attention on other levels of communication, for example, the verbal level. Next, we have Moody, which is also connected to psychology. So this is a simple tool that is meant to help alleviate the ongoing crisis of mental health in young people, which of course was exacerbated by COVID, but it was ongoing even before that, and it's still very much going on. So the tool is prepared with the involvement of parents of children suffering from depression, and also with the involvement of psychologists, of course. And its functionality at the moment allows the user to self-report on the mood and make this data available to the therapist. So this enhances the continuity of care, even if the care is done remotely, and also allows to identify potential moments of crisis. So, and the final group of activity that I want to mention is supporting interactive multimedia-based medical education. Here, part of the activity is done in collaboration with MedVC, and MedVC is a company that is originating from the R&D work performed by PSNC. Around 10 years ago it started. The R&D work was on applications of video conferencing technologies in telemedicine. And the results of this research were so promising that it was decided to try and commercialize it, first through acceleration within European initiatives, and then it got a separate company was established, and the company has been on the market for six years now. The main product of the company is a platform for real-time audio-video collaboration for doctors. Its main usage scenarios are remote consultations and medical education. It's compatible with video from medical imaging devices, including 3D ones, such as the Da Vinci robot. And it has a set of specialized medical functionality, like pausing the image, drawing on it to draw the attention of the other side of the session to some specific fields of the image, taking snapshots, recording the session to the repository, or streaming the session for the students. And the first initiative to mention here is eLaryng, or eLaryngx. So this is an initiative to create a video manual for laryngeal surgery. So there are over 100 surgical videos divided into 9 chapters. They are being recorded using the MedVC terminals by expert surgeons from European clinical hospitals. And they will be published for free on a dedicated portal for doctors and students all over the world and all over Europe. And finally, we have live surgery sessions and workshops. So this is done in collaboration with both medical associations and university clinics in many medical fields like laryngology, urology, orthopedics, proctology, ophthalmology, trauma. This can be done both for students who need to participate in a number of surgeries during the course of their studies and for sharing operational methods with other surgeons during conferences of medical associations, for example. So thanks to these sessions, they can do it remotely and they can still observe the details of the operating field. They can ask live questions to the operator. The largest such conference that PSNC is engaged in is taking place yearly, each winter, and it's the European Laryngological Live Surgery Broadcast. And here it's over 6 hours of live broadcast. There's always 3 surgeries performed in parallel by around 9 clinics from all over Europe. And there's all this video signal is, of course, transmitted by the Pioneer network and also the European networks that Pioneer is connected to. There's a studio of moderators in PSNC's premises. We have a professional TV studio there. And there's 30,000 viewers from over 80 countries that are participating in the stream and watching the stream and asking questions via text. This concludes my presentation on PSNC's vision of the role of NRNs in healthcare innovation. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Sergey. Thank you very much. It was very good presentation. We cannot take questions because we are very over time. We will pass our next and last speaker.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Next presenter is Lulian Sokrairu and Elena Kutilik, researchers from Vladimir Andronovich Institute of Mathematics and Computer Science, Moldova. Presentation title is System for Registration and Triage of Causalities Using Mobile Devices.
Good day.
Hello, Lilian. Can you hear us? Till Lilian is ready, I would like to announce our afternoon program will begin at 14:30 at time. We will wait for our panel then. Thank you.
Now you hear me? Now you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay, I will try to share my presentation. Now it's okay. You hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
And the presentation is the same, yes? You see my presentation?
Yes, we saw your presentation, but
okay.
It's not in presentation format.
Good day again to everyone. I am Zielinski. I represent Vladimir Andronovich Institute of Mathematics and Computer Science from Republic of Moldova. As you see, the title of my presentation is Mass Casualty Management via an Artificial Intelligence-Based Approach. What is the mass casualty situation? If the number of casualties exceeds the resources normally available, the accident, disaster results in mass casualty situation. Available resources, number of injuries, and severity of injuries determine the complexity of decision to be made by emergency crew at casualty collection points or at advanced medical posts. The triage of casualties is an important element in disaster management chain, due to the fact that significant bleeding into the peritoneal, pleural, or pericardial spaces may occur without visible warning sign. In the frame of this research, you propose to formulate, develop, and implement decision support framework for management of mass casualty situation at collection point via an artificial intelligence-based multi-layered approach. This framework will be aimed to support decision makers who are dealing in a disaster area with a considerable number of casualty. Sorry, you see my presentation?
We saw your presentations, but not in presentation format.
Well,
It shows slide.
Sorry, but I click all of it to. What?
First button, please touch first button.
I will continue, but I don't know why I have this problem, because
Hi, Mr. Please stop your share screen.
I share my screen, but I do not understand why I don't see. Okay.
Share stop here.
I will continue this, but okay. The main objective of the proposed framework is to assess the triage priority based on vital signs.
First, offer your presentation. That's all. Yes.
Okay. The main objective of our proposed framework is first assessment of triage priority, a more accurate triage, taking into account level of urgency determined by emergency ultrasound, suggest an efficient therapeutic decision, and assist to coordinate evacuation by offering guidelines for rapid transportation. By implementing of the proposed approach, you are looking for the following impact that you think will minimize over and under triage cases. The impact will be to improve primary triage accuracy, to make casualty reassessment before subsequent transportation, and to make a more orderly evacuation process in mass casualty situation. This slide shows an example for casualty flow management. As you see, the primary triage, its first stage, and it's the more important. Then we will try to offer life-treating intervention, a suggestion for life-treating intervention, and if the time you have the time, you will offer a re-triage for the casualties. Then we will offer guidelines for rapid transportation and with an efficient routing and placement. During the transportation, you will try to do an other evaluation to assess the effect of life-treating intervention. Okay, why we have chosen and select the algorithm, the method of artificial intelligence? Because this algorithm and method allow to create a knowledge-based framework that can solve the complexity of the decision. Artificial intelligence technology can take into account the existing professional knowledge. In our case, it's knowledge-based and rule-based, and other approach is case-based and offer another method for a good practice to analyze the rare cases described by real precedents. Knowledge formalization is the process of translating narrative guidelines into structured knowledge that can be implemented into a decision support system or a knowledge-based system. The main goal of the knowledge representation schema is to represent professional knowledge in a manner to facilitate drawing conclusion, and it's the most important stage in knowledge-based system development. In the frame of this process, in our cases, you have to formalize the professional knowledge and the reasoning mode from the domain of emergency medicine and mass casualty management. At the first step, we, in collaboration with a team of medical experts, identified a set of minimum parameters. In our case, we have determined 9 basic parameters. And as acknowledged presentation schema, there was selected the tabular form. It's the most often used in the field of emergency medicine. The second step was to formalize the reasoning process. As a formalized schema of the decision rules, there was used symbolic rules production, the same being one of the most popular methods in the field of medical information system and familiar for medical emergency crew from medical protocols. In result, we obtain a kernel of our knowledge base, and to collect, for data collection, we have created a medical data management platform. This platform allows to record and storage data about casualty state. All the rules was formalized, integrated into the inference model, representing now the knowledge-based kernel. To validate these results, we decide to create a synthetic data set.
İlyun, can you hear us? I think the connection is gone. Steffi, what can we do? Sorry for the cancellation, but I think there is a problem and we are almost over time. We can go lunch now, but please don't forget our schedule is on time and the next panel will begin at 2:30 p.m. We are waiting for that panel. Thank you. Thank you for your attention.